All right, good morning, traders. Welcome back to another video. Today is November 11th. Happy Veterans Day to all of our veterans. We are 4 minutes and 30 seconds until cash open. Before we get started, before the market opens, let's talk about what is happening or what could happen. So we look at the daily TPO from yesterday, two different areas of interest. We see one here, roughly 245.45 down to 244.46 with a nice, uh, a lot of volume in that area. And then just below that, we have another area of interest, 244.21 to 243.79 with a nice little pop of volume as well. Prices just below that, kind of have an area here. Looks like 243.59, potentially down to maybe even 242.81, but a decent pop of volume in that area. So I'm looking at those two. And I'm also looking to potentially buy. So those two I'm looking to probably sell down from. And then there's an area of interest, which is really just a origination of buying that happened last session. Right here, Monday, November 10th, around 11:05 a.m. last session. Potentially buy from that area since we're in the middle of two areas of interest that I'm looking for. Um, so the game plan is to potentially sell from here or buy from here. The origination of buying or selling looks like they've already started there. Of course, they have sales there. They've already started selling here. All right. If I go a little closer, zoom in, you can see some um, algos here that are selling early there as well. Starting to sell here, pretty heavy inbound selling. So we may potentially sell down into the area that I want to buy from. So I do have 244 puts, 243 puts in my watch list, but I also have 243 calls. But it has to be worthwhile, right? The volume is starting to pick up on the sell side, right? 57,000, now 34,000, which is pretty big. So if we do sell pretty heavy, that may make it worthwhile to buy to the upside. But I would like for it to drop further down with a minute and 40 seconds left. Get through these imbalances of selling, which will potentially drive us down into this area where we had a massive amount of buying, or I should say a massive amount of selling, which made it worthwhile for buyers to pick up and run higher. See here, it was 614,000. Before that, it was 226,000. Before that, it was 409,000, 407,000, and then 406,000. And then it made it worthwhile for the buyers to match their buying orders with those sellers. And we're starting to see a massive amount of selling happening now. 57,000, 36,000. So 40 seconds. If we do pop higher, then I will definitely sell it down to here and maybe call it a day. If we come down and buy here, that'll be the area. So 25 seconds to cash. I don't have 240. Actually, I do 243 puts, 244 puts, and then I have 243 calls. Get into this area here. All right. And I would love to see us drop first, but we'll see. All right. All right, the market is opening now. Let's see what we go. How do we play? So this right here, this drop It was giving me the warm and fuzzies about buying the 243s, but I would love to see it drop further. Definitely want to be patient because it's in the middle of two areas that I'm looking at. Okay, so we dropped it, caught that, and then now we're getting into this area. So just trying to be patient to see where either we're gonna buy or sell in for those two areas. Now that we're popping higher, it's maybe giving me the warmer fuzzies about selling the 243s. Or buying 243 puts, probably a better way to say it. Okay, now I'm definitely switching to 243 puts in my watch list into my active trader. Getting into that area is making it worthwhile, right? 400 and 500,000, 510, 16 now. It's making it worthwhile for sellers to sell it down. So definitely have enough buyers to buy it from. 243 puts are going for $48 per contract. Very good price. See, now they're starting to potentially sell it down. There's no origination that I can see, just where they started to sell from, right? Kind of a break in structure as well. Right, this little structure here. Yep, let's give it some time. That's a lot of buyers, though. Massive buyers. See, this right here, 30,000 on this beginning of selling does not match. So the buyers are sellers are looking for enough buyers to buy it from. Even coming into here, it's a massive one. I may be looking to get into it. 243 puts, looking like getting close to one to do it. All right, $51 per contract. I am in 243 puts at $51. Let's see, 51. So definitely coming to that second area of interest that we talked about. There was one here, and then this one here that we just dropped from. So 51 was my entry. Maybe a little late on it. 61 would be half. Definitely late. And you see the delta switched into right here on this candle. All right, just got my first 10, moving my stop to, I'm gonna do 53 just to capture commissions and see if we can get to 70, 71. So it's 51 entry, 61 is half, 71 would be 20 cent. Definitely about patience in this one. Would love to get 20. Yesterday was a 20. I may not be getting it. Looks like I may hit that 53. Nope, maybe not. So it's 58 at the moment. Check my account just to make sure we're good, at least on the 10. Yep, good on the 10. Back to 61. So I move my stop to 53 just to lock in profit as well as pay from commissions. Okay. A little late on the trigger though. What I didn't look at was the flip of Delta, which I should have looked at. I was too busy zooming out. But look, they made it worthwhile, right? It was 500,000 or so buyers, the sellers to for sellers to buy from. So it has to, what is not talked about a lot is orders, right? I think as retail traders, that's the last thing, if at all, that we even talk about is orders. We look at structure, we look at price action, we even look inside the candles to get direction. But we don't talk about is orders and is if it's worthwhile. All right, so here's the second 5 minutes here. Still at 61, so still at the halfway mark. I did move my stop to 53 from 50, from taking entry at 51 half at 61. So a $20 goal would be 71 for me. And right now it is 62. So whatever happens, I still made money today. Would love to make more, but we'll let the market determine that one. I think if we get to the low of today, that'll definitely be the 71. So the fact that we open since we're waiting, the fact that we're open in between the two areas that I was looking for, the areas of interest. I'll zoom out a little bit here and let this play out. Um, was just 244.22 roughly to 243.78 was the top or was the middle of last session. Looks like I'm gonna be stopped out here. I'll see every time I think that I was 3 cents away from uh getting stopped out of protecting profit. But it looks like it moved. It went to 56 and now it's back to 62. I could take everything here and just call it a day, but I let it play out. I'm already made half money today. I'm trying not to leave too much money on the table. But anyway, it was open between two areas of interest. Remember, right before cash open, I talked about I wanted to buy from here, 242. Oh, wait, it looked like we may be getting it. I said if we get to the low of today, then that's definitely should be 71. Right now, we at 65. Looks like that's an extra $700 so far. I could get that, grab it, or I can just let it play out. Either way, so I made 2,300 today, cashed in. All right. So while that's going on, so there was two areas. I definitely wanted to sell from the 244.22 area to the 243.78, which we ended up doing. That was structure, and that was volume there. And we'll talk about that in a second. Oh, there we go. Looks like we may be hitting it. Sellers are trying to come in a little bit. And then also wanted to buy from the 242.60 area, 62 to 242.26. But because we opened in the middle of those areas, we got to wait and be patient to see what happens. All right, so we are getting close to the current low. 243.02 is the current low. Price is at 70. So one more cent and that will be 20. And I just got it. Oh. All right, so that is a 20-day. So entry 51, half of 61, full goal at 71. Just pulled that off. Okay. All right, so now that we are done, let's talk about the big picture and why I chose those two areas. All right, so let's start with the daily chart. All right, so this is the profile of last session. I'll make it a little bigger. Okay. So there were two main areas of interest that I thought would be the right move, right? I thought it would be the right areas of interest based off the TPO chart and the volume profile chart. So the TPO is telling me, the agreements on buyers and sellers and these price points, and then the volume in which business was done. So the top one from last session, I got is 245.02 roughly down to 244.43 roughly. So that's telling me this is what business was being done. And this is telling me how much business, right? The amount of volume. And then looks like prices really dropping now based on retail chart. So that was the first area of business. And then the second area, so let me do this. So, all right. First area of business. And this was the second area of business to me. All right. So between 244.21 to 243.79 was the second area of business, where you can tell by volume, not only by TPO chart, but by how much business was being done in that area. All right. So being that price opened below this area of business, the next time we go up into it, I'm looking to potentially fade, but you need more evidence, right? You can't just use the TPO chart to figure that out. You need more evidence of that. So then you go over. So once we find our areas of interest, all right, then we're gonna go over and look at that. Now it's really dropping. And I wonder if they're gonna buy into this area now, because that was my area of potential buying because of what happened last session, the origination of buying, at least taking profit, right? Ooh, I left some money on the table. Now it's 84. So 51 entry, 61 was half, 71 was full goal, and now it is at 85. Oof, I left some money on the table there. But I wonder if we're gonna buy into this area. All right, so like I said, those two areas of interest I end up marking on my charts, my footprint chart. This is the top with the most volume, and this was that second one. So just getting a bigger picture of what happened in those two areas from last session. You can see at the beginning of the day, we faded from it, and it faded from the top and the second one. But then there was a interest of buying. What that could have been, we don't know, but there was origination of some buying there. And if we go back to the left, I'm sure we can figure out why. But as we get back up into this first area of interest, or the second area of interest, depending on how you're looking at it, right? We had a bit of a fade, but then we kept buying. And then as we got into the major area of interest, the top of last session, we can see there was a consolidation, right? The price really didn't move out of that area of interest until pretty much at cash close. And now look at it, which is 350 and then 355. That's when it finally moved away from it. Post did the same thing. Post at 1900 hours finally got, what was that, 7 o'clock? Yeah, 1900, I think it's seven. Yeah, I think that's seven. We finally get up into that area of interest again, the top, and then we faded from it. So just looking at the bigger picture, you can see, yeah, at the beginning of the day, we faded away from it, but as we came back, looks like sellers still was holding ground, right? They would not allow price to go higher. One of the bigger clues of that as well is seeing that price. The fake breakout. It probably got a lot of buyers in trouble there to drop it. And then as we get into this morning, look, we get into that buying area. As we get into that this morning, we start to see that structure break, right? Right at 4 o'clock in the AM, we saw that structure break, and it just will not. You can see price will not trade above this area of interest. Excuse me. All right. Big clue there. And we tried it at cash close, at cash open, I'm sorry. But we opened but between the two. So we just gotta let the market do what it's gonna do. Find its way. And that was the drop there. Okay. So as we're looking 243 puts, again, I entered at 51, sold half at 61, made full goal at 71, and price is now at 91. So I left some money, $20 on the table. But still a good day. Maybe I should have played it down to the buying area. And like I said, this is the origination of yesterday's buying right here. Nice little order block that formed. That doesn't mean price won't run through it, but that is the origination of buying. So at the very least, you may see some take profits in that area. As prices at 91. We kind of start to see a tail form. Still too early in the clock. Well, no, 52 seconds left. So we may see what happens here or in the next candle. What I will say though is that it is making it very interesting for buyers to want to buy here though. Right? There was a million, then there was 499, almost 500,000, and in this candle, almost 600,000 sell orders. Or I should say volume, not sell orders, but volume. So it's making it very interesting if buyers wanted to step back in from their origination, all right? If a bigger player said, well, there's enough seller orders right there for me to buy, or at least take profit, they can definitely do that. It's definitely making it worth their while to do so. Again, thinking about orders is not something that most retailers, or if at all, is taught to think about. But that was a nice little tell right there, right? So it made it worth his while to at least take profit. So this would have been a nice little play. Look at that. I do have 243 calls. I don't know what it was here. I was looking, but at the moment it's $67 per contract. So I don't know what it was here. I wasn't looking, but 67 just a second ago. So at the very least, this is taking profit, right? But we do know that's origination, right? Again, pointing out origination of that buy from last session. So 67 is now 72. So that could have, nice little profit there. I mean, if it goes 72 now, so that could be 10, almost 10. That could be a nice, hefty two-way play. So we did look, again, we were looking earlier to buy from here because of the origination of the buy. And it looks like the sellers made the buyers worthwhile. See, they made it worthwhile because it was a 600,000. Still looking for the update on, and that is that's now 78. So I don't know what it was here, but when I looked over, it was 67. Now it's 80. Right. So that would have been a nice little 10, getting close to 20, but at least $10 in profit. And you protect your profit by moving your stop, and you'd be good to go. All right. Nice little tail form right at that buying area. Delta flipped, gave you a nice little tenor and trying to give you more. So it was between the two, right? It was between this area of interest or this area of interest, the selling versus the buying. I definitely wanted to be a seller, potentially selling down into this area of buying, and then, or if we came down first, which looked like it was going to, but ended up reversing. But a buyer here to potentially get 10. It looks like you got the 10 and now it's at 81. So this is from when I was looking at it, 67 to now 81, 83 now. So it's trying to give you 20. Let's see. I'm curious to see if we get 20. Oh, that got to be 20 right there. Look at that pop. Still showing 83. There we go. 67. That would have been 67. So I don't know what it was here again, but it could have been 65 or whatever. But that gave you 20 from that buying area, right? And they definitely the sellers made it worthwhile. 50,000, 55, sorry, 500,000, and then 620,000, 29,000. They definitely made it worthwhile. All right. All right, guys, that is the end of my day. Again, happy Veterans Day to all of the veterans out there. Have a great and safe one, and we'll talk later. Peace.